Chosen one, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now God is training your spirit to recognize 5 body sensations that are not accidents, not just nerves firing, not just random signals, but signs, signals, messages from the spirit trying to break through your doubt, your confusion, your exhaustion. Right now, you are being awakened because your body is not just flesh holding you together. It's the canvas on which heaven starts to paint warnings, confirmations, even commands. And most people ignore it. Most people push past it, numb themselves, or chalk it up to anxiety. But you, I need you awake now. Because it's not just shivers, not just heat, not just pressure, not just tension, not just a racing heart. Each one of these is timed, intentional. And if you don't grab their meaning, you can miss the move of God breaking in at the very moment you beg for a sign. Let me tell you about the first sensation, the sudden shivers that run down your spine, the tingling up your arms, the chills that hit you right in the middle of an ordinary moment. You know the feeling, that icy current that cuts straight through your bones even when the room is not cold, even when everyone else feels fine. Listen, that's not just your body reacting to air. The spirit will sometimes brush past you so fast, so sudden it leaves a chill, a holy electricity, a charge in the air. Maybe you just heard someone mention your name in a context you never expected. Maybe you glanced at your phone and saw a message you barely believe. Maybe it's in the middle of a song, a sermon, or your own silent prayer at 3 a.m. That's when shivers come, uninvited, undeniable. Let me show you, those shivers are a signal that something in the invisible world is walking close. It's a nudge to pay attention, sharpen your senses, because the Lord is passing by. And if you ignore it, you'll walk past your own breakthrough. There are moments when the enemy tries to intimidate you, and your body responds. Goosebumps, a sudden chill, a heaviness. But in the kingdom, shivers can mean confirmation. That chill marks the moment the Spirit says, "This is it. Watch, pray, don't dismiss what's about to happen." Let me take you into the heartbreak of ignoring those chills. Walking away from a conversation you were supposed to have, missing the phone call you should have answered, going home early instead of waiting for the door that was just about to open. Suddenly, all you have is regret, an empty heart, a gnawing sense you missed the appointment only your spirit could recognize. Second, you need to understand the sensation of heat. All of a sudden, your skin prickles, your face flushes, your hands get hot. It's not just the room warming up, not just blushing, not just stress. The heat is an urgent signal, a warning or a quickening. Sometimes the Spirit sends heat as a fire, burning away your fear, cleaning out what wants to stay hidden. You're in the middle of worship and your heart pounds, your chest feels like it's catching flame. Your tongue is alive with words you didn't expect. Or maybe you're alone in your living room. Everything quiet except that feeling. That warmth crawling up your neck, your forehead sweating, your palms burning. Let me explain why. The Lord uses heat to tell you that a decision is being sealed, a healing is flowing, an enemy line is being crossed. When you feel the fire, don't run from it. It's either a call to repent, to let go, or a call to act with courage. You want the discomfort to end, but listen to this. Sometimes you have to sit in the fire, let it do its work, let it burn up the excuses, the doubts, the lies. The heat doesn't mean you're in danger. It means you're in process, in the forge, about to be poured out as something precious. Now let me break down the third, pressure. The invisible weight dropping onto your shoulders without warning. Your chest squeezing as if your breath is not enough. Your head pulsing with something you can't explain. Many mistake this pressure for anxiety, for stress, for the body's warning to step back, but sometimes, listen, pressure is God's way of holding you in place when you want to run, anchoring you, refusing to let you escape before your appointed moment. Right now, somebody is feeling a heaviness that won't let up. You have prayed it off, You have worshipped through it, you have tried every relief the world offers. Still that pressure comes back, heavier at night. Heavier when you're almost stepping out of line. Heavier every time the breakthrough is close. This is not the weight of failure, it's the weight of assignment. The chosen ones carry burdens that are not theirs, so the blessing can fall on a generation that can't lift it. Pressure means you are chosen to intercede, to carry, to refuse to collapse when everyone else crumbles. Let me show you, if you push it away, you forfeit the anointing that makes you dangerous to the darkness. That pressure is proof you are called to what nobody else will do. Take it seriously. Now listen to this carefully. The fourth sensation is shaking, the involuntary trembling, the quivering in your hands, legs, your voice cracking for no reason, the sense you can't get steady. Most people rush to hide the shake, to mask their weakness, to steady their voice so no one hears the quiver. But let me tell you, shaking is not a sign of defeat. Shaking is a sign that power is surging through flesh that can barely hold it. When Moses stood before the burning bush, I guarantee you his legs weren't steady. When Elijah outran the chariots, he finished shaking. When you feel your knees knocking together, it means you're standing in a place that is sacred, new ground that requires courage. You tremble because you are at the edge of something dangerous to hell. The enemy shakes only those who are about to take territory. The trembling isn't shame. It's the sign the power is greater than your ability to hold it. Don't mask it, don't apologize, don't try to steel yourself. Let the shaking remind you that you're in the presence of heavenly power. Finally, let me talk to you about the racing heart, the pounding drum in your chest that throws off your rhythm. No warning, no reason, interrupting ordinary moments with panic, dread, or sometimes unexplainable excitement. A racing heart is not always fear. Sometimes it breaks into your sleep at 3 a.m., pounding loud enough to wake you up. Let me take you there. It's the middle of the night and suddenly you're wide awake. Your heart wakes you up before your alarm. The air is heavy, your mouth is dry. You throw off the sheets, check your phone, nothing explains it. You try prayer, you try scrolling, you try a glass of water, but the pulse won't slow, just beating, beating, beating. You replay conversations from earlier, you scan your mind for what's wrong. Did you offend someone? Is something wrong at work? Is someone sick? You wonder if this is the precursor to some attack, physical, spiritual, or emotional. You turn on the light, but the shadows don't lift. You take a pill to quiet the anxiety, but when morning comes, you're more tired, more raw, more brittle than before. The racing heart keeps you on alert for danger, yes, but sometimes, listen, it's alerting you to pray for what's coming, for attacks orchestrated against you, for sudden blessing on the way. The racing heart at night can be a wake-up call, not to fear, but to fight, to press in, to listen for the divine instruction hidden in that pounding drum. What you feel in your body becomes the drumbeat of your discernment. Let me show you what these 5 sensations mean when you stop ignoring them, when you lean in. Shivers that tell you the Spirit is near and watching. Heat that confirms your call or burns away your bondage. Pressure that reveals your assignment and plants your feet. Shaking that signals you've stepped into power that scares the darkness. And a racing heart that wakes you at 3 a.m. so you don't miss the instruction, don't miss the warning, don't miss the blessing. These are not symptoms to medicate away, not moments to dismiss, but signposts, sealed marks of your appointment and your anointing. Right now, as you hear these words, I decree, your body will no longer betray you. Your body will testify. Your sensations will be tuned to the frequency of heaven. Shivers will mark the movement of angels around you. Heat will signal the refining fire burning off every chain. Pressure will anchor you where blessings break open. Shaking will declare to every demon that you are filled with power from on high. Your racing heart will wake you in time for destiny to arrive. They wanted you numb, but you become awakened. They hoped your flesh would fail, but you become a living sign. They planned confusion, but you learn to interpret every shiver, every heat wave, every pressure, every tremble, every beat. Suddenly, overnight, your body is the confirmation. Your body is the witness. Your body is the vessel. Right now, right now, right now. Let me take you deeper now, chosen one. This is the part nobody talks about, the season where everything feels flipped upside down, where the evidence runs out but the pressure in your body only grows fiercer. Right now, you are not just feeling these sensations in the quiet. Suddenly there's a pushback. Overnight, what used to comfort you now stirs a quiet dread. You try to stand up, but you're carrying that weight, that burning in your chest or shaking in your hands, and you wonder, is it spiritual or just exhaustion? You remember when you used to feel God's presence as a gentle touch, but now His fingerprints bruise you awake. That is not abandonment. That is graduation. The reversal begins here, when the signals you once feared become the evidence of your advancement. Let me tell you what the enemy tries to do in this season. They see the shivers and call it paranoia. They see the heat and accuse you of overreacting. That pressure, they tell you, is a sign you've missed your moment. The shaking means you're unqualified, unstable, about to break apart. That racing heart at 3 a.m., they call it a symptom, something to sedate, mask, distract with endless noise and scrolling and numbing remedies that never touch the root. But every single accusation is wasted breath, because what they call dysfunction, God calls preparation. Let me break it down for you. Right now, while others are mocking, doubting, writing you off, heaven is repurposing every trembling, every burning, every pressure, every pulse to ready you for the stage, for the confrontation, for the moment your vindication becomes undeniable. And here comes the reversal in full. The very things you tried to hide become your authority. The shivers you used to fear become your signal for opportunity. Suddenly you're in a meeting and that current rips down your spine. This time you don't shrink back, you don't apologize. You know this is the door. When you speak into that moment, the impossible shifts. Paperwork stuck for weeks is signed on the spot. Supervisors who used to ignore you now seek you out for counsel. That sensation of heat rises in your chest in the presence of someone you thought was a casual acquaintance. And then an urgent word rises in you. A truth delivered in love that breaks open years of silence. The person who planned to use you ends up confessing instead, dropping their armor because of the heat of your honesty. That pressure you carried for months finally lifts as you see the reason. Suddenly your words steer the entire room, your ideas get credit, your prayers get answered, your name crosses the lips of decision-makers behind closed doors. The trembling hands become unmistakable evidence that God is near. You lay them on. Someone sick and healing cracks open where medicine failed. Overnight, everything changes. Now let me show you the faces of vindication as real as the tension in your chest or the prickling down your arms. Imagine the night when you can't sleep. Again, 3 a.m., the heart pounding, the fears stacked higher than your bank account. You count your regrets. You try scrolling through old messages for comfort. You scroll past their celebrations, their photos, their success, each swipe stoking the old loneliness, the ache of injustice. But somewhere past the breaking point, God steps in. No trumpet, no spectacle, just a slow, silent knowing. You realize every tremor, every restless moment, every heat wave burning through the loneliness was pressing you into the shape of someone who won't settle. Someone who can't be silenced. You wake up that morning with no external proof. Still the test results unknown. Still the bills unpaid. Still those friends silent. But something has broken off of you. You move with a quiet authority. You answer the phone call that changes your trajectory. Suddenly, the person who ghosted you calls back with an apology. The position you thought forgotten opens up. You walk into a doctor's office for what you thought was another routine visit and get the news. The treatment worked. The results are clear. The timelines have collapsed. Let me take you into the consequences for those who tried to weaponize your sensations against you. The ones who whispered your name with suspicion, who called you too emotional, who said you couldn't be trusted, who mocked your discernment. They begin to stumble in places they once walked with ease. They ignore their own shivers, walk into traps meant for you, sign contracts that unravel overnight. Their safe places become shaky ground. The heat that radiated off you, the pressure that made you dig deep now marks their own bad decisions. They feel the discomfort but can't interpret it. Relationships they took for granted dissolve. Friends turn distant. Their confidence becomes brittle. They chase every solution the world offers but never get relief. Suddenly, the very things they mocked in you become their downfall. Every time they laughed at your tears, your trembling, your urgent prayers, heaven remembers, and now those nighttime watches are theirs. They can't rest. They can't shake the sense they're missing something vital. The blessing passes by them and finds you. Chosen one, now comes your commission. The sensations were your training. The seasons of strange heat, unexplainable chills, the unrelenting pressure, those trembling encounters, those endless nights, none of it wasted. Now you are dangerous because you have evidence. Every time your body testifies, you remember the faithfulness of God etched into your bones. Listen, you are being called to interpret what others ignore. You are no longer just surviving the aftershocks, you're reading the signs, marking the moments, speaking the word exactly when it cracks the silence wide open. When your heart pounds in the night, you get up and pray. Names come to mind, situations you couldn't know on your own. Instructions that make no sense until the breakthrough hits 3 days later. When shivers course through you in the presence of a stranger, you bless instead of retreating. When the heat floods through your veins in confrontation, you don't shrink back. You speak the word that dismantles generational lies. When pressure holds you in place, you refuse distraction. You intercede, you anchor, you become the pillar for others to lean on. When trembling starts, you don't hide. You step forward, hands shaking with power the darkness can't answer. This is your authority now, and it is permanent. What was once private suffering is now public evidence. Doors swing open at the signal of your obedience. Deals get done where others stalled for months. Invoices paid in full. Opportunities you never applied for land in your lap. Family members who mocked your sensitivities begin to come for counsel. Those who dismissed you now seek your wisdom. You watch the cycles. Money finally sticks, relationships heal, your health steadies, the platform grows. Where you used to anticipate another loss, you brace for unexpected blessing. All because you listened. All because you refused to numb what God was using to train you. Your nights are changing. 3 a.m. now becomes your altar, not your torment. You don't run from the pulse, you lean in. You pray until peace washes over, until names, places, and answers come. You get up in the morning marked by encounter, not dread. The shame is gone. The world told you to distrust your body, to dull your senses, to doubt the signals. Heaven says, body and spirit together tuned for command and victory. Chosen one, I decree over you right now, what shook you will now shake your enemies. What burned you will become your flame of discernment. The weight that nearly broke you will become the foundation under everyone you cover. The trembling in your bones will announce your arrival to every territory you step in. The pulse that woke you in the night will become your personal alarm, your summons to intercede, your secret to advancement. They wanted you muted, but your voice thunders. They planned your panic, but you become the unmovable watchman. They expected your body to betray you, but it broadcasts divine order. What was once your weakness has become your weapon. What was private is now a platform. What was torment is now the key that unlocks doors, unlocks destinies. Vindication overnight, authority immediate. Now every sensation is an instruction, every reaction is a revelation, every step is timed for favor, and every tremor is proof you have been chosen, fully, fearlessly, irreversibly, right now, now. Chosen one, stay with me, because as the sun rises on this new chapter, your body carries the residue of battles nobody saw but heaven. The victories that left no scars but shifted everything. There is a vindication coming that will embarrass the doubt that has haunted you like a sour mist every morning. Let me take you into the moments that turn the tide. The hour when you move from the target of ridicule to the testimony only God can orchestrate. You have been the one in the room who felt the shivers before the news broke, who sensed the heat rise in a conversation others claimed was innocent, who carried pressure in your shoulders while everyone else laughed unburdened. These were never the marks of weakness, never the emblems of brokenness. These were receipts of intimacy, subtle signatures of the Spirit affirming you were in sync while everyone else was asleep. Right now, vindication is stretching its arms toward you. You are about to see that the signals others dismissed will become the headlines of your deliverance. Let me show you exactly what vindication looks like. Imagine walking into a house that once echoed with gossip about you, where your tears dried in silence under ceilings that refused to hold your voice. It could be a family dinner, a work celebration, a reunion where every eye tracks your every move, not with scorn this time, but with the uneasy awe that slides into a room when God flips the script. The very ones who called you unstable for trembling now witness your steady hand signing documents they never thought would bear your name. The ones who rolled their eyes at your late-night prayers now come to you with their own 3 a.m. terrors, hoping you know how to quiet storms because you did not sleep through yours. The friends who gossiped about your spiritual sensitivity now ask you for the truth, desperate for a word that breaks through their noise. You notice in these rooms how quiet they become when you enter. The laughter tapers, the snickers dissolve because your presence is the proof. God has settled the issue, heaven has rendered its verdict, and the evidence is your undeniable survival. I want you to picture the leader who doubted you, the manager who bypassed your name on the list, the partner who withheld honor. Picture them watching as you step into rooms they can't enter, as doors swing wide for you and stay slammed for them, as contracts appear in your inbox and vanish from theirs. There is a reversal on public display. The trembling you once hid is now your mantle. The burning you endured gives you a glow they can't buy. The pressure you suffered becomes your elevation. Your health, long attacked, long diminished by stress, now steadies as your sleep evens out. Your appetite returns, your steps grow purposeful and strong. Finances, once stretched thin and trembling, now flow steadily. Invoices paid on time, new opportunities chasing you down. Relationships turn, apologies arrive, hearts soften, honor is restored where shame had taken root. It's not just poetic, justice. It's the justice of God measured out in public, undeniable, irreversible, because His word over you was never on trial, even when your reputation was. Let me take you deeper, because vindication is not just for watching, it's for wielding. Suddenly you find yourself commanding spaces you used to tiptoe through in fear. The job they swore you'd never get, you now supervise from a position even higher. The deal they blocked finds its way to your account through an unforeseen route, recommendations from people who barely know you but can't get your name out of their mouth. You get invitations out of nowhere, platforms to speak, offers to consult, a seat at tables that once seemed bolted shut. Not because you networked harder, but because heaven remembers every flame, every tremor, every sigh you thought was wasted in the night. Vindication will never allow you to return to the smallness they expected from you. There is no shrinking, no apologizing, no offering yourself as a peace token to buy fake acceptance. The evidence piles up. Emails from people you thought forgot you, opportunities with your name on them, contracts and business that stick, love that feels safe, sleep that feels deep and undisturbed. The vindication is not just that you survived it all, but that you now have the power to say yes or no on your own terms. But don't stop at vindication, chosen one. The reversal isn't just meant to soothe old wounds, it is the briefing for your commission. Right now, God is backing you for a reason beyond your comfort, beyond your security, beyond your name being cleared. You are commissioned to interpret the language of the body, to read what others call confusion and translate it into strategy, warning, and promise. You are commissioned to be the one who sees the tremor in a room, at the dinner table, in the boardroom, in the hospital waiting room, and knows the hidden story behind it. Where someone else would dismiss a shiver as the air conditioning, you lean in and switch direction, intercepting an attack the enemy had set up months in advance. Where another feels the heat and chooses to run, you stand and let the fire burn away every tie that tried to keep you average. Where pressure builds, you become unmovable, a safe haven for those still learning how to survive the storms. Your commission comes with boldness. You start laying hands on the ones everyone else has given up on, and miracles break. You look across a room, and when you feel the racing heart, you say the word, send the text, make the call, obey without hesitation. Suddenly, people catch the wind of your discernment. They see patterns shift in their own bodies when you pray for them, when you walk into their atmosphere, when you declare what God has been showing you in the midnight hour. You are now a translator of spiritual realities, a breaker of unseen cycles, a midwife to destinies stalled by ignorance and fear. The reversal made you dangerous. The vindication made you public. But the commission makes you necessary, irreplaceable, and magnetic to the favor of God. Let me show you what happens as you carry this out. You walk into meetings and the spirit of confusion is broken before you even open your mouth. Children around you sleep better, spouses recover joy, friends rediscover purpose because you spot the subtle signals, the tense shoulder, the nervous energy, the sudden warmth, and you speak to it, pray over it, cover it until healing comes. The gifts you grew in private agony become the very thing that rescues families, saves businesses, restores ministries, uplifts communities. You do not take credit. You do not flex your discernment like a weapon of pride. No, you walk low, you walk humble, you remember the nights you barely made it through. But everywhere you go, the atmosphere shifts. Unexplained headaches stop. Sleeplessness lifts. Panic quiets. The one labeled broken for being too sensitive in the family finally finds words for their experience because you made it safe to talk. You start to see generations shift, mental strongholds dissolve, new joy spread like fire because you refuse to despise your own body's witness. Chosen one, the transformation doesn't stop. This commissioning is for longevity, for legacy, for the breaking of curses and the securing of lines. What tried to run in your bloodline? Panic, failure, shame, insomnia, shame over feelings ends with you. What tried to use your emotions against you, what tried to label you unstable or unreliable is now broken at the root. You don't just disrupt cycles, you uproot them. Those who come after you will never again fear their own sensations, never again apologize for discernment, never again bow to the structure of numbness. Sons and daughters, spiritual and natural, will thank you for mapping out the signals, for refusing to hide, for speaking up even when your voice was shaking. You become the evidence that sensitivity to the Spirit is not a curse, but a calling. Let me declare it now. Line by line, moment by moment, in the presence of every enemy, every doubter, every tongue that ever weaponized your sensations against you. You are vindicated publicly, not just privately. You are commissioned openly, not just quietly. The ground beneath you has shifted. The nights no longer belong to terror, they are now sanctuaries for instruction. The heat in your bones is not disease, it is fire for revival. The trembling is not panic, it is power loaded and ready for release. The pressure is not intimidation, it is permission to anchor, hold, and save a generation. Your racing heart is not a death sentence, it is a war drum, calling you to prayer, to action, to command what must be done on earth as it is in heaven. They wanted you dismissed, but you are established. They hoped to break your confidence, but you became the pillar in the room. They tried to turn your body against you, but it became your ally, your prophet, your trumpet. They predicted your collapse, but you became the reason others stood tall. They planned your defeat in secret, but God's plan was shaped in the open. Now blessings overtake you, now honor chases you down. Now your reputation is reformed by the hand of God. You are never going back. Your body will not betray, it will testify. Your name will not be hidden, it will be heralded. What was subject to reversal is now sealed in your favor. Let vindication thunder, let commission echo, and let your life prove, chosen, equipped, vindicated, unmoved, unafraid. Right now, suddenly overnight, the evidence stands, the chain is broken, and you walk forward because you are the living decree. Let me take you further in, chosen one, because right now the reversal is not just a shift you feel in your gut or a new ease in conversations where you once stumbled. It becomes a tangible force, a climate that settles around you, pushing back the opposition that once seemed insurmountable. People start remarking on it, even the ones who used to doubt you most. There's a hush when you enter the room, a ripple that moves through meetings, a lift in the atmosphere at gatherings. You were once the scapegoat, the easy mark, the misunderstood outlier whose trembling and burning got written off as too much. But now, everything you once mourned about your sensitivity becomes the confirmation that people need. Instead of dodging the chill that sweeps your body at the mention of their names, now you look up straight and let your eyes meet theirs. You find your voice unshaken. The room expects truth when you speak, and what flows out is sharper than memory, heavier than any script you rehearsed in your lowest nights. Let me show you how vindication plays out in the details. Right now, the people who labeled you unsteady find themselves reeling. The ones who rolled their eyes at your struggles with anxiety are suddenly swept up in storms they can't control. They fumble through their coping scripts, but none of the old tricks clear the air. They lie awake in the watches of the night, tossing in beds you once begged God to let you rise from with peace. They wonder why they can't sleep, why the atmosphere feels off, why conversations stall and opportunities shrivel. Let me tell you what's really going on. What they mocked became the lesson they now need, but without humility they only find confusion. You, though, you wake from your 3 a.m. alarm with clarity. You catch the scent of warning in your bones. You know when to pray, when to move, when to be still, when to speak, and when to let heaven thunder without your words. Relationships tilt in your favor. Where you once chased closure, now closure comes hunting for you. Apologies that once seemed impossible break through after years of stony silence. The people who shut doors in your face now ask you for keys they don't even know you hold. I want to tell you what happens in the unseen, how the Spirit compensates for every silent endurance, how every hidden ache and secret sensitivity you bore is tallied, stored up as credit in a divine ledger. The nights of heat and racing heart you spent alone become the fuel for open doors and unexpected invitations. You walk into situations that look hostile but feel nothing but peace. A peace that confounds your adversaries, a peace they can't explain. It's not artificial calm, It's the authority that comes from having already survived your darkest hour. Let me make it plain. Those who once despised your trembling now cling to your words when chaos crashes in. Those who said you were too emotional now beg for the mercy that lets you feel God moving before anyone else could see him. And while vindication rearranges your story for all to witness, God's commission is stamped in fire. You're not just vindicated for vindication's sake. You're meant to break chains, upend cycles, and rebuild ruins. There's a new assignment that will test the fullness of your discernment. You'll be sent to environments that drain others dry, places thick with old battles and ancestral pain, towns marked by depression, organizations with a ceiling so tight nobody can breathe. But you walk in with the advantage, the ability to sense the shift before it's obvious, to trace the generational lines, to spot the heavy air. You don't fight what you feel, you use it. When that shiver brushes by, you pause. You listen. You pray long enough to intercept the arrow before it lands. When the heat rises, you acknowledge it and choose obedience over comfort, courage over delay. The pressure doesn't make you angry, it humbles you, roots you, keeps you from leaving moments prematurely. Shaking doesn't rattle your confidence. It marks the moment power enters the battle. Commission isn't just a promise, it's a call to risk. Right now there are situations brewing, financial deals, courtrooms, open wounds between brothers, silent standoffs at kitchen tables that everyone else has written off as hopeless. You show up as the catalyst. You identify with the overlooked because you've been the overlooked. You don't just empathize, you discern the moment to speak and the exact phrase that opens up the floodgates. People who avoided you for years now start inviting you into secrets, strange confessions tumbling out at gas stations, on park benches, in crowded coffee shops. It startles you at first, but soon you realize your survival carried authority. Your struggle turned you into a magnet for mercy. You find yourself praying for people who never would have imagined wanting prayer. In just a few minutes, what would have been a casual conversation becomes a moment of deliverance. Joy returns to faces long gaunt with cynicism. Hope stirs at wedding tables, in city halls, in hospital corridors. The place shifts because you entered the storm with scars that now shine brighter than polished credentials. Now let me show you how commission matures. Your discernment multiplies. Where before you could only feel for yourself, now you begin to sense atmospheres for entire households, entire teams, entire congregations. The signals aren't just data points for survival, they're assignments, prompts for strategy, blueprints for action. You sense the coming attack, but now you block it for others. You feel the heat rise when leadership faces division, so you pray until unity breaks in. The pressure that used to collapse you now becomes the weight that lifts others higher. You don't hoard your stories of shaking and racing hearts for sympathy. You share them as confirmation for those just discovering their own spiritual senses. You commission others right in the middle of their confusion. No, you're not broken, you're chosen. That's not dysfunction, it's your call. That midnight panic, that sudden heat, that trembling. It means God's closer than you imagined. Don't run. Listen. Stay until the message is clear. Suddenly, spiritual sons and daughters gather emboldened. They move with a calm that only comes from walking so close to the flame they stopped fearing the burn. You become a link in a chain of freedom, a channel who refuses to shut off the flow just because it's inconvenient to feel deeply, to perceive beyond the obvious. Where the world once shamed you into hiding, now your testimony is their instruction manual, your battle's the license for them to own their own discernment. This isn't about building a following, it's about building foundations. Now come the permanent marks, the closing moments of this reversal, vindication and commission. You find your nights transformed, no more dreading the 3 a.m. surge, no more waking to shame and self-doubt. There's stillness at night, Spaceless quiet where instructions come as clearly as the pulse beneath your skin. Sometimes God will wake you not with panic but with assurance. Get up and write. Pray for this one. Text that name. Morning comes and the evidence follows. Money appears, news breaks, breakthroughs march in. Your body is no longer a battleground but a sounding board, a vessel that testifies. Chosen one, right now I release this decree over your life. Never again will your body be a source of shame. Every shiver, every heat wave, every pressure, every trembling, every late-night heart-pounding wake-up, these are your inheritance, your evidence, your badge of heaven's trust. You will not be minimized. You will be magnified. Where they planned your silence, your voice will be the alarm that shakes fortresses. Where they plotted your humiliation, you are lifted as the living answer to prayers nobody else dared to speak out loud. Where they meant your breakdown, you bring breakthrough. Where you wept with regret, you now weep with relief, with gratitude, with power. They wanted you to apologize for your senses, but you testify boldly. They waited for you to collapse, but you rise, steady and eternal. They bet on your panic, but you deliver strategy. They hoped your trembling would be your undoing, but it is your unveiling. They said you were too much, but heaven says you are more than enough. Right now, overnight, your body is caught up in blessing, your name is written high, your vindication is visible, your commission irrevocable. This is the moment. Reversal cannot be undone, vindication cannot be denied, your commission cannot be revoked. Your body is now the evidence, your story is now the decree. Walk forward, chosen and marked, both target and testimony, unbreakable, unshakable, undeniable, now and forever.